I'll be darned.
I've got a blower and cool this, but the place where I need it is up high, it's so steep, it's not worth anything.
Oh, have a chain. And so some of the guys doing driveways need some chains.
Mine's got chains. I've got the snow blower. It's got chains on it.
You got 2 stages? Yeah.
I bought it when I lived in Wisconsin.
Well, I had one when I was up in Marquette, Michigan, yeah.
The top of our hill is too steep to stand, then the road gets bad.
The first time I used it, I couldn't figure out how to get it out of reverse. I had to get up against the garage. Took me a while. I'm slow.
I came home from traveling, and we'd had like 8 inches of snow, and my driveway's clean. And I pulled up, parked, and I got out, my neighbor's out there cleaning his ways, and I walked over, and I said, "What?" He goes, "I should have got a video. It was a blast watching your 5'1" little wife run that thing down the hill, turn it around, and have it pull her back up the hill." He goes, "Damn good thing your head changed."
Oh, yeah.
See what happens Thursday, because it's supposed to be freezing rain.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then this weekend, they significant snow event.
Yes.
They're not even, last I heard, they didn't even put inches on it yet.
Right. And then they said that actually, it looks like February is gonna be a very bitter, because the Arctic vortex is split up, is into 3, and so the long range is looking like we're gonna have a real winter this year.
But it hadn't come until now.
No, well, that's what they were saying, that enjoy it while it's lasting, because it's
2 weeks of it, I won't be here, so. And I might have to figure out something to do for the other 6 or 8.
Dropping the gavel. Gavel is dropped.
I got that.
Boy, Eric just sighed a sigh of relief. Relax.
actually, when in my previous life, instead of a gavel, I had a rubber chicken. 20. I got somebody needed to bang it up.
My tractor running.
Good evening, Dennis.
Good.
I don't know where Gretchen got this somewhere.
What?
Coming up side of the North Park, there's a powered truck.
Yeah, Aspen's up there.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
This model says 8 to 20
Yeah, I came
inches.
back around and
Oh, she 8 to 20.
This weekend? Scott,
Saturday.
This weekend?
That's what this says on this thing.
Ooh.
8 to 20.
Ooh.
Might
I'm
move
not
your
leaving
plans
early
up a
enough.
little.
Pardon me?
Might move your plans up a little.
I wish. The boat's not leaving early enough.
all righty, let's call the meeting of the Highway Hills Club Board of Trustees, January 15, 2019 to order. Let it be noted that 2 people are back, so they're absent this weekend, or tonight. Dave Miller, for work purposes, and Linda isn't feeling well. Everyone else is here and in attendance. Can I have a motion to adopt the agenda that you see in front of you?
So moved.
Second. And Greg and Scott, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let's move on. The President's report. First of all, as we just started to say, the one thing that's shown once again to be extremely important to us is maintenance, getting out and getting on the roads. I think the reports here from this first event, which was supposed to be 2 to 4 inches and ended up being 8 to 9 inches, I think for the most part, our guys did really extremely well. Good thanks both to the members and our maintenance people, but please share with them that we really do appreciate it. And they were working, I think they worked overnight, didn't they, the one night?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, and I could hear them a couple nights out, in the middle of the night. With respect to the President's report, one of the issues we have tonight is that we're going to be reviewing and approving, hopefully, the 2019 budget. And I guess, as difficult as it is to say to everybody, but having worked with the management committee, and they did a good job again preparing it, we really are in a fairly austere budget situation. We are going to only be able to keep doing what we're doing, and we really won't be able to make any inroads to some of the projects and the like that people want us to work on. So I really would think we need to get that message out to the members. I'm going to try to say it here, and we will be appointing a committee that following, I mean, I said that a couple different times, we need to be looking forward to it, but I will be calling for volunteers and folks to begin to come up with. So we'll work with the management committee, but to come up with a plan of what we're gonna do. I have heard from lots of people that they want more things, they want better things, they want things fixed. And frankly, we're not gonna be able to make it by stealing $5 from here and shifting it over there. We're doing that, we've done that, you know. And so people are going to have to make decisions. We'll have to make the case to them of how important some of these things are, that we've done our homework, you know, whether it's the RFID, whether it's fixing up the ditches, extending the MotoPave, working on the front end, making it look nicer. All of these things are really realistic things that I think we need to do and want to do. But if we don't have any more money, it's just not going to happen, because it's, again, I think we will end the year in, the budget will get us through to December, but of the stuff that people that are telling me what they want, we won't be able to do if we don't come up with some additional funds. So stay tuned. It'll be up to us to make the case for what we're going to do and sell people on it. As you remember, last time we lost by just a few votes. I'm hoping we'll be able to give people enough information moving forward. We'll have to decide how much money we want and how to get there from here. And on that concludes my president's report. Mr. Lapp, do we have any correspondence?
No.
We have no correspondence tonight. Thank you, sir. And the next is your minutes.
I'd like to make a motion to consider my minutes.
Do I have a second for his motion?
I'll second.
Scott seconds. Any questions of Eric about it? You had a chance to read it. They were in the echo. Does anybody have any questions about the minutes? There being no questions. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimously passes. Mr. Matthews.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the treasury report showing that as of December 31st, 2018, there was $133,426.25 in the Benton County Bank.
Any questions of Tom? It's all on our sheet there. Tom made the motion. May I have a second for the motion? Dwayne seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Anything further? Otherwise, we'll get right on to the management committee report. Mr. Kirk.
Good evening. First thing on the list is, I think all of you received a copy of the 2019 proposed budget by email. Some points on it. The budget includes, and this is not any change to the bottom line, it's just an accounting change from one account to another. The money to do the MotoPave this year, from the lodge to the Bremen Gate. That plan was put in place, I don't know how many years ago. The decision was made that 5 years ago, and we are getting back on that plan, which means there'll be less chip and seal, but we will continue the MotoPave. We conservatively budgeted for new member assessments. The number that Mr. Sigafus plugged in was for approximately 40. It was 440 new members. We've ran considerably higher than that for years. We decided to go conservative. That way, if the real estate market or something crashes, we're not stuck with a higher budget than we can hit. And if there's more than 40, if there's back around the 45 to 50 or so that's been the norm, then there's a little bit of extra money in the budget, not a considerable amount.
We had over 60 members this year. 60 new members.
Well, right now, there's hardly anything for sale.
That's also true.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah. We put in the budget a reduction of $66,000 in lodge loss. And here's some of the points that led us to that. One is a 16%, we're budgeting and promoting for a 16% increase in sales, which would result in about $33,448 in sales increase over last year. Along with that, I'll make sure I got this right. No, pardon me. 16% is more than 33,000. By the time when you take out the food and beverage expense that'll go along with that sales, the sales will result in a profit of $33,448. Secondly, there's a $30,000 reduction in payroll due to a realignment of staff and duties. We are not, at this time, filling the assistant manager position. Next, we anticipate an increase in the clubhouse profits of about $12,690. A couple of points on the restaurant, the lodge restaurant. Sales increase will be attained. It's not a 1 point deal. It is price realignment. Some of the prices, some of them will go up, some of them will go down. Some of the menu items are going to change, period. They're looking and comparing alcohol prices to the competition around Logan, Lancaster, and some of that will be realigned. There's going to be some menu changes and updates. There's going to be a kids and seniors menu. There's going to be some items on the menu that are more family menu type, meatloaf, mashed potatoes, that sort of stuff, family style dining. There's going to be they're already working on and almost have the first couple months of it done, a rolling 30 or 90-day calendar of special events that will also include daily specials, pizza specials, burger specials, pasta specials, a veterans price break day special. Some of the events that are already on there are Valentine's Day dance, St. Patty's Day, every day of the week to improve the sales. That's about all I've got on the budget. Any questions before I move on to another piece?
Did you have any feedback on the New Year's Eve dinner, I guess I would call it?
Yes.
I've heard a lot of complaints from it.
The complaints I heard were about the extremely slow service because they were understaffed. I did not hear any complaints on the food.
I didn't either. I
Okay,
just heard it, the slow service, exactly. There was one waitress and one bartender and the place was fully booked.
It was packed. It was one of the best nights they had all year. And they had 3 people that were scheduled call off or not come in. Those 3 people are no longer on the payroll.
Well, that's good. I also heard from some people that work sometimes here, sometimes at the clubhouse, that they weren't called to come in and they might have come in.
That's good to know. They didn't know about 2 out of 3 of them until pretty much the last minute. One, they had a little bit of notice, and the person that was in charge of staffing the schedule didn't make a phone call to try to get somebody to come in their place. So they failed at that. But yeah, we've got the feedback, and those 3 are no longer on the payroll, and the person that was doing the scheduling isn't doing the scheduling anymore.
I might say we were there, and I agree with Scott. It was slow. I mean,
I wasn't there. I've just, people are telling me, I've been told, well, I'm never coming back.
Some might say that, but the people who were there were completely impressed with the one waitress, I don't know her name, and the hostess, who were really working their tails off trying to get them out.
The waitress is Carissa.
Carissa, okay.
Yeah, she's got quite a bit of experience. She was at Millstone Barbecue and Hungry Buffalo for a while before she.
And they kept their cool. So my compliments to those 2. And the hostess was running between the cash register, checking people out and coming through. So they were trying, but they were swallowing.
There's been a ton of conversation around that because
I assume so.
Yeah,
I mean, you didn't mention it, so
No, I'm glad. I'm glad your feedback was the same as what I got. Because I got some phone calls and some people, took me aside and said, "Hey, this happened," and a couple emails, and we've had conversation. And John was beside himself over the fact that they didn't have enough people. And he's not the one, by the way, that was doing the scheduling at that point. He is now. Moving on, the annual merit pool distribution, the annual pay increase distribution is in process. Employee evaluations are almost done. most of the, I met with Randall and Rick and John already. So their three departments, and Chris, actually. Their departments are, we've got them plugged into the spreadsheet. I need to sit down with Randy and we'll probably finalize everything within the next few days. And that'll be done. And lastly, the only other thing I've got on my list is, and this is nothing more than a kind of a segue for the next piece. RFID quote process is continuing. Lodge shutdown, kitchen deep cleaning is progressing well. We had a little setback today on it, but it's progressing very well. Randy will give you more details. Any questions for me?
I'm assuming that when we bring the forward for the budget tonight, that we'll be making the raises to people retroactive to the first pay period of the year.
Yeah, it's calculated in the pay, or in the payroll.
Okay, because I think that's important.
Actually, a part of them was made retroactive to the first, thanks to the federal government. Minimum went from, on tip positions from 415 to 430, and on non-tip from 830 to 855.
Yeah.
And that had to automatically take effect.
Okay, so for the food service, a lot of food service people who were able to happen then.
Correct. Thank you.
Mr. Sweatman.
Thank you very much,
Gentlemen.
Mr. President. Our delinquency totals, as in November for regular assessments were 24,361. As of December, they went up just a little bit to 24,930. I may have reported that last time. We haven't got any numbers yet for January yet. Roads were at 2350. They went up a little bit to 2650. Dam assessment total as of last Friday was $384,604. As far as the kitchen shutdown progress, we fulfilled all the needs for the health department as far as the cleanable shelving, cleanable walls, and we had a member who built the new shelves and provided covers for the galvanized shelves on the stainless steel tables where the bottom was galvanized. We needed those to be cleanable. He provided all that material for a $500 restaurant gift certificate. So, and that was Roger Ranley. So I appreciate what he has done. I think the cabinets are beautiful, what he put in down up there. And so I really want to put out a thank you to him. Also, you folks that's been here for a few years remember Paul Klaus. Was a member here for quite a few years. He has just resigned as the OLCA Executive Director. He had put in his notice here beginning or the end of last year, and a new Executive Director has been approved, and that's Brenda Anders from Pine Lake Estates. The RFID's progress. We decided to eliminate the trap gates, which we were really high on the trap gates, but we thought that at the exterior gates, we thought it was just going to back traffic up too much. So we have eliminated that. We had one company who backed out because of not having somebody to be able to do the trap gates, so they're back in. So we've got about 4 companies that are bidding on that now. So we do have one quote from one company, and we're waiting on some others. I had a member who called me, or actually emailed me, and said he knew of a guy in Columbus that we weren't aware of that did RFID systems. He called me that same day. He came down a couple days later, met with Jim and I. So he is putting together a quote as well. So that'll be interesting to see what that comes back, and we'll get them all together and figure out what's the best route to go with that, if indeed we can afford it.
Are those going to be new operating systems for our current gates or
Yes.
the whole?
Yes.
So we're keeping the same gates that we
Yes.
have? They
Yes, yes, yeah, we'll keep the same gates. We felt,
Makes sense, they
Yeah,
work
they
most
work
of the time, unless people wreck into them,
Well,
but
yeah,
that's gonna
yeah.
be with whatever we have.
well, the problem we have with the main gates, the slide gates, is they're so slow in closing. So, we have come up with a possibility of doing a couple different things. One of them, I don't know if you talked about that at the last board meeting or not, putting a speed bump
No, I didn't.
about a car length in, so that the car coming through slows down for the speed bump, gives the gate a little bit more time to close. So that's an idea. And then there's a couple other possibilities. But with the RFID, we can shut people off if we need to.
I think it's excellent.
Yeah, and, I mean, plus we've got all the gate openers out there. And so, we're not gonna totally eliminate tailgating. We're just not gonna be able to do that. But it's gonna help, I think.
Will we be able to control the gates from the guard shack?
Yes, yes. That is in the plan, that we will be able to if necessary.
Well, we'll also be able to speed up. Right now, the delay on them
Yeah.
is set. I don't know what it's set at, but we'll be able to speed that up a little bit.
Right.
And it will be a speed bump, not a speed hump. It'll be one of the ones you gotta slow down for, which
Right.
means the car behind you, if it wants to get through there, it's pretty much gonna have to push you over the speed bump, so.
Yeah. So
Well, I
that's,
think you could probably tell people too, that would be one way to stop the tailgating. I
right,
mean, if you look behind and see that the person behind you doesn't have a sticker or a hang tag, then
Well,
keep them there.
in the dark, you can't really see that.
That's true.
Well, tonight, when I came in, or actually, it was this afternoon, I guess it's still light out, but I tried, there's a guy sitting there, so I tried to close the gate. I couldn't get it to close.
It doesn't.
It doesn't respond to close.
It used to.
The old controllers did. We've replaced all the old controllers. and
Okay.
The new ones don't have that feature.
So I'm just pushing it in vain.
Yeah.
That guy knows I'm trying to lock him
You were
down.
doing the right thing, Scott.
Yeah.
You were pushing it and it was recycling staying open.
Yeah, probably.
No good deed goes
I don't know.
Yeah. We've been draining the lake since November 1st. It is now at 815.56, which is down not very much,
1/10 of a foot.
1/10 of a foot. So basically,
1.2 inches.
yeah, as of today, they opened it another turn. We're gonna try to gain a little bit because I know there's people that wants to do some seawall work and dock work. So we're gonna try to gain a little bit before we have to close it back off. Hopefully, we can do that. I mean, the rain was just crazy. I mean, we get 2 or 3 inches of rain, the lake come up a foot, and it took a week to go back down to normal pools. So anyway, we're working on that. Also, our administrative assistant, Mary Sander, put in her notice before, in early part of December. So we're in the process of looking for people to replace her. She has graciously told us that she stick around till we found somebody. But she has accepted another position, and so tomorrow will be her last day. If you get a chance to stop in and say bye to her, she's just a delightful person. And it's just the fact that this job is not for her. She's an accountant, and that's what she likes to do. She took this job to make a little bit of a change, decided that it wasn't gonna work for her. So,
She's gonna get the note straight, Scott, before she leaves.
yes. Actually, that's the reason she's staying tomorrow. She said she would do that.
Just for you, Eric.
So yeah.
Thank you, Mary.
Really?
But we have another lady that we interviewed, yesterday. She's coming back in for a second interview tomorrow. We may hire her, so we'll get somebody else on board right away. It just depends on how the second interview goes. She did very well in the first one, and we had trouble finding people that just had the qualifications to do this job. And we went bunch of different ways. I mean, we went through our normal advertising process. We went through it Indeed. We even went to HAH. And HAH sent us a person yesterday that had no experience whatsoever in this kind of work. And so, and I had already jumped them about that. I was really disappointed with them. So anyway, if you get a chance, stop in and say hi to Mary, or bye to Mary, and thank her for her work. She did a great job. I just loved her to death, but it wasn't for her. So, and that's all I have. If anybody's got any questions, let me know.
By the way, we need to tell maintenance, great job on all the work they've done up in the kitchen also.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They've done, you need to go up when he opens up next week, or stop by later on this week.
Yeah.
Just don't step on the dance floor upstairs later this week, because they're gonna be redoing it, but.
Right.
In fact, he had them send out an e-blast. John sent out an e-blast earlier today that next Tuesday, the 22nd, is their first day open. And I don't know the exact times, but I think from 3 to 4:30, before they even open, he's gonna have an open house, and anybody wants to stop in and take a tour of the kitchen, he's gonna take them back through the kitchen.
Yeah.
Financials, I don't think I got a copy of the financials for December.
Too early.
Yeah, we haven't gotten yet. At the end of the year, it always takes longer at the end of the year.
And this being the earliest possible, that's that third Tuesday that you're gonna have.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So after they finish up and they do take longer, but after they finish up in the office and have to go to the accountant and they have to adjust them and get them.
Okay. One other question for you. All the debris that's being cut, what is our deal with all the debris being cut, for them taking it away or not taking it away?
Everything that they cut on an easement, they'll leave on the easement. Anything that's in somebody's mowed yard, they'll chip it up and move it away. But pretty much the stuff on the easement, they're leaving. Yeah.
They'll, like up by my house up Young Lane and the like, it's all over the road.
Oh, is it? Well, they'll clean it out. They'll need to chip it off the road.
Now.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
It's turned a 1.5 lane road into a 1 lane road.
Well, I'll make sure that.
I mean, they were up there cutting today and yesterday, so maybe they just haven't.
Cutting or chipping?
Cutting.
Okay.
No, the chippers were full. They're doing
Yeah.
both.
Okay.
They're better at not blocking. We've been complaining.
Oh, yeah, we already.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And they did in the easements, right behind us, they stacked it up.
Okay.
But, it's a nice big pile.
Yeah.
But they're not gonna move it, so.
Right.
I mean, is it something that it could, there are some big piles of brush on the easements, especially for members that have 2 lots.
Mhm.
Now they got a big
Yeah,
pile,
we got one, big one.
and we're just stuck with it. There wasn't any negotiating room when we're chatting with them next time to.
Well, we wasn't sure how this was going to come out. We sat down with South Central Power, we sat down with Asplin, and we sat down with the other company that was there, I'm not sure. And we wrote out an agreement. We were only able to look at that agreement. We did make some changes about chipping and stuff and clearing people's lawns off, but that was pretty much the extent of it.
Okay.
So next time we'll look at it a little bit closer.
That's kind of a key, lawn. If it's the back part of your property that you don't, do anything with, it's woods, they're gonna leave it laying there too.
Yeah.
If it's somebody's manicured, mowed kind of lawn, then they'll take it away, but otherwise, they're not gonna.
Right.
I got a property, they've stacked everything right up against the deck.
You're kidding.
I wish I was.
That's not the right of way.
Yeah, I'll tell them to move
Well,
Who built the deck close to the right of way?
And make sure you pass back compliments to Cash, because his Facebook post kept people informed. I think that calmed a lot of nerves, knowing what's going on. And I know he worked 24 hours. Did he not?
32 hours.
32 hours straight.
Yeah.
I mean, wow.
Wow.
And good man. Thank you.
Yeah, I will do that.
Anything else? That being said, let's move on to committee business and reports. Dwayne, do you have anything for us tonight?
Range is closed this weekend due to previous weather and weather coming. We also postponed our meeting Thursday. It's winter, we got.
Okay. No money or anything needed? No. Scott, do you have anything?
Yeah, for the garden, I'd like to make a motion to approve $320.34 from garden committee funds for a cart to haul supplies and waste.
Payable
to All Power.
Do I have a second for that? Second. Second from Dennis. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Anything further, Scott, or?
That's all I have.
All right. Greg?
Yeah, on behalf of Social, Dave Miller asked me to pass on something. The Social Committee is partnering with a group that's going to put on a talent show, and they're looking for approval to put on a talent show at the amphitheater, and they're asking for up to $700 to pay for somebody to accompany several acts, probably Lydia Sander. And they're talking about singers including Pat Rowe, Tim Calb with a quartet, Cabot, Ray and Heather, Jeannie McNally and John Lefevre. And if you were at the Christmas Eve service, that was a couple that really did a great job. And Peggy Levinsky and partner dancing. And Deb Kirk's got a group, Ty and Teresa Jordan, comedy skits with Chris Rice and Becky Rice and John Snoke and Esther, and Dave Mockensturm's the MC. Mr. Mickey is going to do the sound along with Bill McClinchy and Damon Braun. PJ Aubrey's going to do the planning for it and directing. It just sounds like a fun event. And they really hope to raise the money to offset the up to $700. But they want to know that they've got it going in if they have to commit to these things. Some of it's also for licensing fees that they will need because they'll be performing here. We're sensitive to that. So I'd like to make a motion on behalf of Social Committee to approve up to $700 for what am I going to call it?
Talent show.
Thank you. A talent show, dates to be decided sometime in the summer. Yeah, date to be determined.
Okay.
Second.
Second from Dwayne. Any further questions? Dennis, did you know about this?
Well, you're not on the list, so PJ is.
I gotta talk to PJ.
Hey, Deb, I didn't know Deb was dancing.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None at all. All right.
That's all I got.
Yeah, okay. I've got a couple things here. The first one is we're going to ask to move some of the money from the amenities that was originally earmarked for the upgrading the POS system upstairs, because when we put the pizza oven in, we ended up having to put an exhaust. We'd already put an exhaust system in, and we'd already used up all the money from the pizza oven. So we went to the food service people upstairs to make sure that it was okay with them. They're going to still do some stuff with the POS, but they're asking us to reallocate $4,571.36. Part of it was for duct work, exhaust fan, and then additional electrical work as well, materials and the like. So I need somebody would make the motion.
I'll make the motion.
To 4571.36 to reallocate, because we don't, since it's amenities funds, we won't approve that per se, but we need to approve the reallocation from the POS system to the pizza exhaust system. The pizza system. We approved originally the pizza system, and it's part of that project. So this just finishes it off. The work is all done, and we were waiting, actually. We had this conversation with food service months ago. We were waiting for the final bills to come in, and we now have those. So do I have a second for that motion? Dennis has a second.
I've got a question.
Yes.
Explain. You already put in an exhaust. And you're saying is it the first exhaust that you put in, or you're revising the exhaust?
No, this is just to pay for it. The one that we already put in.
We put that in back in June before we got the pizza oven, or right after we got the pizza oven.
Yeah.
And we just got the bill for it in the end of December.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm thinking that was a long
That's why I-
time.
oh, yeah.
No, this was
An
the
upgrade.
Yeah,
This was
that was
the-
the reason, we were waiting on the bill.
Yeah, this was the.
That was an upgrade for an upgrade, but yeah. Yep,
No,
got
no,
one.
it's not. It's the original process.
Yeah.
Pretty good terms on it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Then I've got a couple other things from the Food Fund and Fellowship. John Bobs, this is from Kathy. John has asked for help from the FFF committee with a party for the 100th batch of beer at Hideaway Hills. Like approval to spend FFF money raised to buy swag, Hideaway Hills type stuff for the event. They're thinking of pint glasses and bottle openers, and she's planning on spending somewhere between $5,000 and $1,000. So they have these to give away for people. And this will come, they have these ongoing swag sales. People buy things, so it would come from those funds, not the funds allocated to the deck, but from the funds that they've been able to generate from that. So she's asking for up to $1,000, and we don't have a date yet for the event, but we will have that in the future. But anyway, she wanted to have approval to spend up to $1,000 for that.
And then she'll turn around and sell that.
I think this is mostly giveaway.
Have we brewed the beer yet?
Have we brewed to 99?
100 over how many years? That's what,
We've had to have done over 100
yeah.
over the years.
I really do.
Probably, yeah,
He was doing a beer a year.
well, we only do probably 3 batches a year.
Well, then maybe
This past year was the largest at
Yeah.
6.
6,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but he was doing, on average, he was doing about 3
Yeah,
a year.
3 or 4.
Yeah, she's talking about having 150 of each item to give away. So this would not be, there would be no income from that. And I don't know whether, John and the food service will be making money.
There'll be plenty of income from the beer.
I would
You
say
see how much that beer costs?
Yeah, that is. So can I have a motion to approve?
I move.
Scott approves, second.
Second.
Dwayne's on. Any further questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that goes.
I would ask though that we track the sales that night and report back. So we know, I'm not challenging you, I'm saying, hey, we're doing this, if promoting like this makes sense, we do it. So.
I wanna be there so I get one.
Yeah,
Yeah, there you go, yeah. Okay, good.
They also would like to have a deck tour again this year. They're proposing doing it for the Memorial Day weekend, not picked a day yet. This is just a heads up. But they want basically an approval to go ahead and have a tour of the decks again on Memorial Day weekend. And so she wants to talk to people and have the idea that at least that they'll be able to advertise it and go forward with it.
So,
Greg moves. Second. Second from Tom. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. And you saw the note that we put in the Echo and on the blast today, we're getting some of the money, the prices in. We've had to do a little redesigning of the deck again, but that apparently is closed. There was one issue, I don't know if I shared this with you before, but the one structural engineer we were working with, when we were finalizing the last piece of it, he said, "Oh, you want me to sign that and go forward with it?" And I said, "Well, yes, that was the whole idea." And he said, "Well, I don't carry enough insurance to sign this." And we said, "Oh." So he said, "I apologize." So anyway, we've gone to another person, so that's also finishing up. We should have some fairly firm numbers here. I'm hoping we're working on it within the next 2 weeks, and I'll share that with you all. And we have 3 or 4 contractors who've spoken to us that are interested in seeing that information, how much it is. So, and it's all segmented into various phases of the like. So if we have some issues, we need to raise some more money, we'll be able to do that. And I'll keep you abreast of it. I tried to get stuff for tonight, and I'm sorry, people again with the holidays are not responding, so we have to wait.
Do you have that information electronically?
Yes.
You can email me that, so I can take a look at the
Sure.
whole shebang?
Sure.
I appreciate that.
No problem.
So,
You wanted a PDF, is that what you want?
yeah, however you
Well,
have.
he uses a program called Rivet, which is the 3-dimensional spinning stuff, and like it. But you have to have that, so I'll get it something for you.
Okay, thanks.
I'll talk to him, sure. All right, for you?
No, I got that one.
You got nothing?
All I have is the golf committee would like to submit the 2019 tournament schedule and have it approved.
Is it in our packet?
Nope. Nope, I got it here if you want to see.
We need to read the days on it, or?
Or I can do the.
Are there any changes in
Why
it?
don't you do
Well,
that?
the dates.
Basically, it's the same as last year, the dates just changed to reflect the calendar.
Yeah.
I should have printed it off.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and submit it then as a. Yeah, give us a new vote.
All right.
Just send us all a copy of it so we can look at it.
I'll do it.
I don't think you want to sit here and read them all.
No. That's all I had.
All right, Dennis, anything else? All right, that's the end of committee business reports and fund requests. We'll adjourn to go to open forum. Any blank?
Nothing to say, Tim?
I'm just observing this evening.
Okay, this is your entertainment for the night?
I cheated on Eric's here a little bit a week or so ago, and he told me to show up.
Good deal.
All right.
What's your name? I've never met you.
Tim Weibel. Just been here just shy of 2 years.
Okay. All right, let's reopen the meeting and we go to reaffirming the e-votes, unless anybody has an unfinished business topic. I didn't have any. So.
I rewrote NA.
Sounds good. E-votes. All right, we have a short list of e-votes this morning. I was very pleased to see. Let's get started. They're all 8 O's, all 8 in favor and none opposed. First one is an e-vote to approve the purchase of the 2018 Ford 150 for $31,367.75. That's an interesting one because we originally ordered the truck and then the truck wasn't available, and they said, well, here's another truck that you can have and it only costs you, what, $4,000 more? Or?
No, it was supposed to be 1,500 or so, and they said, well, we'll give it to you for $400 more, and
We got it for the original
Paul
price.
said, we sent Paul down to talk to him, and we got it for the same price.
Who's the dealer?
Bob Boyd.
Right.
I don't know if they ever want Paul back, but
Do we?
absolutely.
E-vote to reimburse Cabot Ray $102.15 from the Christmas Eve offering for sheet music. And e-vote approval to pay Lisa Jones $34.44 for Subway sandwiches for maintenance from the chapel committee funds for Christmas and New Year's. E-vote to apply Article 9 against a member for disorderly conduct in the lodge. E-vote for $212.50 to John Jones from Second Century Funds for reimbursement for a license fee for application to the Hocking County Health Department in order to begin remodeling the clubhouse. And the final one is an e-vote to approve July 20th, 2019 for the Organic Garden Fest from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Those are all 3-0. Have a motion to re-accept these or to re-approve these.
So moved.
Dwayne approved. Any second? Dennis a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Moving along quickly. All right. New business topics. I think all of you have, hopefully in your package, a list of topics that were sent to us. Budget for. I'm sorry. All right, the 2019 budget is next for us to approve. We have it in front of us. One other question, I'm just looking at it, if you're going to be able, our anticipation is to be able to fund the capital fund and depreciation funds this year as well. And that's all within the current budget.
And how are we in terms of funding for 2018?
We're still behind.
Okay.
Are you, I mean, you're under no, other than for the capital fund, you're under no constraints because you have to fund those. So unless you find extra money, which I think is fine.
Yeah.
My position, as I told you in the past, I think is the code requires you to put 5% for the capital. And a given, the depreciation. I know the person who created that $128,040, and it was just the amount of money we had available and what we thought would be a good amount, so.
Yeah. Well, that was a recommendation from the accountant.
Right,
At
it
the
was,
time. Yeah.
at the time, so we can.
What about the amenities for 2019? Are those funded yet?
Yes,
Okay, so those are funded, the committees can start.
yes. They were all up to date.
And we'll get the year-end report here really soon, so we can see where we're at. Do you have any idea where we're gonna end up, or how close are we on the food service?
So we're about 2% up for the year last year, right?
Correct. And that's, what that is just the assessment increases essentially, and then the only other item that's there would be the projected increase of about 60,000 in income for the food service. Everything else is pretty well cut and dried.
We had a big increase in subcontractors.
That's where we're moving the money from road.
Gotcha.
But the other increase that was kind of high is insurance. Any reason why that went up so much?
It wasn't insurance, of those taxes.
Taxes stayed the same.
Insurance is up 18%.
Are those actuals?
I don't know why that is, unless he didn't get the rest of the payments in for 2018. Because insurance went up approximately $2,000 for 2019, and that was it. I'm not sure where he got that figure.
Well, what's his forecast based on how many months?
It's based on December of 17 through November of 18. So it was a full 12 months.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know where he came up with that figure.
Jim, would you get us that explanation then?
Yeah.
Given that we will only get a reduction on that, I think we can still move forward.
Yeah.
So you said that the insurance went up 2,000, but it says that here it's up 14.2? Right. Right.
That's correct.
So it's
Yep. That's almost 1 month of depreciation.
Yep.
Okay. Any further questions? Take as much time as you want. There's no reason to hurry to do this.
What's miscellaneous settlement income? 395.
Judgments, for instance, if somebody is delinquent and then we finally get the money from them, that's what that is.
How about your neighbor across the street from you?
Across the street?
That was where that came from.
Oh.
Yeah, a lot of that came from that.
That's where the 22K came from.
Okay.
Well, we're talking about that, Randy. I forgot to ask when you gave your report. The letter is coming from the attorney to the delinquency committee. The 2 people, lien was released. Does that mean we got payments?
Oh, yes,
Good.
yes. Well, the one, they had 3 properties
Oh,
and they're still delinquent on the one. But so we released the lien on the other because they sold 2 of the properties.
all right. But that's the kind of thing that
Yeah.
goes into that then.
Right, exactly.
If you look on the second page, the total payroll expense, the $22,000 decrease is because there'll be some non-repeating charges, basically in the office from the early last year that we won't have this year.
That you're on a 3% compensation increase, right? That's the number you're working with.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the budget.
Is everybody-
We can go on with that for a second.
Oh, that's
We'll
true.
talk about it.
You're right. That's right.
Jim Lloyd always should keep me out of this. I'm used to it. I know how to
Rick
do
made
it.
the motion.
I'll second that.
Scott seconds. Any further discussion or questions? Not seeing any. Vote. Those of you in favor of implementing the 2019 budget as listed in front of you, and assuming that we will make pay increases retroactive to the first of the year, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes.
I mentioned the delinquency committee. I know that there's going to be a couple of vacancies on the delinquency committee. If anybody on board or a member wants to be on it, it only meets about quarterly. And what we do is we review the things that have been turned over to the attorney, and the attorney is communicating with us what's happening with those, because we're going after the people with liens. And you know, it's not a high work committee, but it is one that's important because of getting the recoveries that we get because of the way, and I have to give Valerie Barker the credit. She just does a wonderful job of tracking.
She does.
And keeping the attorney online. And our attorneys do a good job, and Valerie researches. But if anybody's interested in something that meets quarterly and keeps track of our delinquencies, just let either myself or Valerie know. I'm sorry, thank you.
Oh, no, that's fine. Yeah, it's a very paper-intensive process, as you know. And once they go over the 60 days and we serve them, and then if there's no progression, there's no payment plans, then we go back and file liens, and then from liens you go to foreclosures. And so that's one of the reasons why. And I think for the most part we've reduced almost all the low-hanging fruit in that process. So the ones we're dealing with now are pretty significant.
And just FYI, we don't discuss it openly, but any member could come in and ask any question about who's on the delinquency list and what the status is. It is open record. We just don't throw it out there. But there's nothing secret about the committee at all. That doesn't happen.
All right. So let's go pull out in front of you the document that we received from the Management Committee and from the Constitution Committee, looking at some suggestions and remote control aircraft rule. At this point, I think I wanted to introduce this to you. You've seen it before, but I think in terms of the discussion, if people get an indication of what things people want to do, if there's any of these options which make sense to you, that would either, some of them we can vote on in fairly short order. Other ones we may need to have an ad hoc committee look into a little further. So for example, starting at the top, there's a remote control aircraft rule. This was because we had some comments that came from members over the last couple of years that drones or remote control, externally controlled aircraft, remote controlled aircraft, were flying either over the lake or over groups of people. And we went to our attorneys and we discussed with them, and they said it was well within our ability to determine, what rules we would want for our community. And so this recommendation or this language came from the Constitution Committee. And as you can see, it's a fairly significant limitation, which that we would be prohibited without permission from the general manager. And they can, unless they be flown over the airport, they must be on the airport side of Horns Mill Road. Full-scale aircraft going in for Highway Hills Airport in the right-of-way and all remote control must land. So this would basically restrict people from flying remote control aircraft over the lake, over the dam jam, over the any things here at the amphitheater.
Without permission.
Without permission.
Yeah, I might speak to that just a little bit because I'm on Constitution. The members like the pictures, like at the Labor Day event.
In the cove, yeah.
In the cove. And it is fun to see those pictures and see what it is. On the other hand, that drone was eye level to some of the decks. And that was the problem. And there have been 2 remote controlled aircrafts that have crashed in the lake in the past year. So they can crash. And if they crash and somebody's out there, they can hurt somebody. So, if the operators of the drones, and they're getting pretty I don't know how many more there are in Highway Hills, but if they say to Randy, that, hell, we'll fly over the dam jam, but we'll keep it above 500 feet, we could consider it. So we're not, as Dennis said, with permission, but generally, no, the other side of the road. That's the proposal. It's up to the board to decide.
Do we control the airspace? I mean, I don't know what the distance is on these remote controlled drones or what have you. If somebody's flying one, I mean, if I didn't live in Highway Hills and somebody flew it over the top of my house, I don't have anything to say about that, do I?
You mean, but somebody who's not in Hideaway Hills?
Yeah, I'm saying that, the scenario that I'm talking about, if it's not Hideaway Hills at all, you have your house in Columbus, right? Somebody flies a drone over your house, you can't stop that, can you?
I think you can.
I don't know,
In my understanding from conversations we had was indeed we have that right. I mean, so like, you know, I live in Upper Arlington, the city of Upper Arlington can very much so say where people can fly and
Okay.
can't fly.
well, it makes, I mean, you don't want, some of those aircraft are fairly large.
Yeah, the bigger ones, they have
Ones that
that
crash
FCC licenses.
Well,
don't they?
Brett
The bigger ones
Says he
stop.
can only fly his plane over there, he can't just fly it anywhere, he can only fly it at the airport.
That's correct. I mean, we've got other situations where people have flown over people.
We've addressed this issue in the past. Wasn't there some FAA stuff that came in?
There is, and there's actually, the FAA is rewriting, of course, because of the governmental shutdown. They were ready to actually promulgate some new rules, or at least discuss them. And they postponed it. I just saw that. I looked at this earlier today or yesterday when I was looking at this stuff. So there may be some change in that, but I don't think in terms of our ability to decide what we want to do here, I don't think we're constrained by necessarily. Those are sort of limits of, or guidelines.
Okay.
And Jim was on the committee when we first discussed this, and Jim's son is.
Jim Lloyd.
Jim Lloyd, I'm sorry. Is
One of the
well-
many Jims in this community.
well into this, he flies competitively, so to speak, and so Jim was sure that this is good too. That's just what was
Mr.
proposed.
Jim's on the Constitution Committee, right?
He was, he's now getting off Constitution, but he was there when we talked about this.
The spot where they can fly over in the airport, is that the spot right behind the range? I'm thinking that's where they were. At the end of the runway? That might be something to add into there too, where you do your aircraft have the right of way. Although if we're shooting skeet and a plane flies by, or shooting
Wouldn't that
trap,
be awesome?
Oh, that'd be great.
Right glass, but it's not in there when you shoot, right? Because that's pointed right at where that area is at the end of the runway, where we shoot.
Well, it says including the farmettes, and this would permit it over the ORV track and over the range, the way this is written. And we thought that would be okay. That's why it says farmettes.
Well, it also says that the planes would have right of way. I mean, if we're out there shooting trap and somebody comes out with an airplane, the range.
Oh, you mean a regular airplane?
No, I mean, if somebody's out there flying their remote control planes and we're setting up to shoot trap.
Yeah.
And that's,
As it's written.
This says
there's a
full
conflict.
scale aircraft have the right of way.
Yeah, it doesn't say
Right.
about that.
But if it doesn't exclude the range or the ORV track, so they could indeed fly over the range when they're shooting. Now, we don't have to vote on it tonight. If you want to think about it, make a proposal.
I'm just offering a.
Okay. We're trying to give the people who are flying these things, a reasonable place to fly in the airport. They can go south as far as they want.
Does Kessler Swamp have any rules?
Not to my knowledge.
I'm
sorry, Greg.
Part of the runway.
To your point, the airport and the range are the same thing. This only says they can fly at the airport, so if they're flying it over the range, that's a violation.
No, it says that you
the
cannot
range-
fly it over Hideaway Hills property, on this side of the road or the Farmettes. Read it again.
See, the range pointing at the hill is one, but when we're spun around shooting trap, we're shooting over the runway.
Well, what do you do if a full-size plane comes in?
No, we stop for that. They've got the right of way.
I think the smaller.
I'm just saying, if we're out there shooting, somebody comes out, no, this says that we're allowed to. The only thing we gotta get out of way of is full-size airplanes that come by.
Hey, Eric's got a point. I'm rereading this. Air Force State on the Air Force Center.
And just no exclusion.
Yeah, I think Eric's got a point. Well, what would you, we might have to tweak the writing, what would the board want to do with this? Give me some input.
All we're trying to do is avoid having the aircraft in operation when they're shooting, right?
Right.
Just write that. That the shooting, they have, if it's a scheduled shooting, they got right away.
Why?
If it's scheduled and you got a scheduled thing going on.
Oh, you mean, you're talking about a scheduled event, or just, I call you up and I wanna go shoot?
Or you wanna come down and shoot trap?
Why do I have right of way over somebody that wants to go fly their plane? They're scheduling to fly their plane. I'm just asking the question. One person doesn't have any right over another person. First come, first serve is what I'd say. If somebody's already shooting, you can't fly your plane. If somebody's already flying the plane, you can't shoot.
I was referring to a scheduled event.
Yeah. We could,
But I think Scott's got a point. Who takes precedence? If somebody's out there flying already and you wanna shoot,
Maybe different if you're having an event, of course, you would get, well, you've already approved that as an approved event. I think that's maybe what you're looking at. If it's an approved event, they have the right of way.
But doesn't, the range has to have 48 hours advance reservation though, don't they?
Well, some people, but I don't think like range officers, like if you wanna go shoot, you don't have to get permission, you just go down there and shoot. You know, when Nick was a range officer, I'd just call him up, hey, you wanna go shoot this afternoon, and we go down there and shoot. That's to allow the range officer to have time to do
but
it.
they set the trap up that easily?
Yeah, drag it out and start shooting.
All right. We're open. You guys tell me what you want. I mean, we'll do with that first. Are you in favor of this type of rule?
To let,
General.
we don't have a current rule at all
No
about
rule.
drones?
No rule.
That's what happened last year a couple years ago before DMG ended, or during DMG ended.
Mm-hmm, yeah, I've seen them flying around and years, Mike Lozel had one that was flying it around the golf course for a tournament or something.
Well, we had a complaint from a member, back on the north end of the lake also, that said they seen one flying around their house and close to their windows. Now, that may or may not have been a member drone. As a matter of fact, it probably wasn't, but I know we had a complaint from them.
I think this technology is only gonna improve. And, somebody was flying over on the Eagle Claw, right? And it was kind of, what's going on? I mean, it was, until it happens to you.
They sound weird when they go by and
They
you don't really know
do,
what it
and
is.
now I'm thinking, when somebody's flying, I mean, what is going on? So it was a little disheartening. And then, I guess my other concern is, I never thought about these things falling out of the sky and landing in the lake. And we've had 2 issues with that, I believe. Where they fall, and that's a big lake. If it's during a busy time though, it certainly is a concern.
That cove was packed when they were flying over
It
there.
was. So I think I would be in favor of creating this rule. I think we probably need to come up with something though with the, with the range. And is it a first come, first serve? That seems to me it's probably whoever gets there first.
Well, then
You're the range
talking
guy.
about for it too. I mean, you could cut off at some point. What would it be? South, north of the,
But if they're shooting at the range, and the people, they would hear the shooting.
Yeah, I don't
I
think,
think
I don't think it'd really be an issue.
I think they'd be smart enough not to fly over there. but-
Being devil's advocate here, I mean, we've caught a bird on accident. If something was to fly by while we're shooting trap.
On accident.
It was Sue Lyle, as a matter of fact.
Call her out. Way to go, Sue.
So do we
I'll
not
play
have,
devil's advocate thing.
do we have an issue then with maybe we.
It would only be when we had like our trash sheet, twice a year. Or if we're down there and we have
Or somebody else
members
is-
down there, yeah, and
And that's
I'm all
that's
for,
an
hey, can
approved
you move
event.
down there?
Yeah,
But
I would think
this
you would,
gives them
approved
the right
event would be an
way to do it.
approved event, you could maybe put that in there, that stay away from the range on approved event.
You could even be just for trap. If trap, a trap event, because the range doesn't matter, it's pointing the other way.
Okay.
Yeah, they go
I
fly
mean,
over
we've
there
had
too.
HEDs come around on that side too, while we were shooting trap.
All right, so what we're saying is that they can fly over the range or the ORV track. Those are the only places over Hideaway Hills properties they can fly, not over any of the farmettes or the outlots. But they also cannot fly over the range during an approved trap event. That's what you're looking for.
Sounds good
That's
to me.
up there.
All right, I'll get that rewritten. All right, that's one.
Yep.
I don't know if you're gonna get through all.
We don't have to get them all. One of the discussions that came up, and this is actually a fairly big one, was that as part of the amenities fund, we had a meeting here a couple weeks ago because of the sort of the distribution of the funds, and that it was sort of top heavy. It was an idea, since the money's been so significant for the last 3 to 4 years, whether we would want to allocate some of this. This is the committee side of the amenity funds too. This is the 50% that we would suggest or recommend or put an earmark that those have to go for large projects within the Hills proposals that we're looking forward to. There could be some coordination with that with central planning in terms of how to go forward with it. Because right now you've got a situation where there's many smaller projects and then people add on and of course then we get to the end and there's enough peanut butter to spread around and you end up with 140,000 and you go forward. This would be that you would recommend, or that the management committee would work with the board to come with a sort of looking at a larger project at the beginning of the process.
Aren't we kind of currently doing that anyway?
No, we're not doing anything.
No, I mean, doesn't that just naturally, you're saying 30% of the whole pie is given towards larger projects from the committees?
If I understand.
Like we give
Dan-
$61,000 to the golf committee to I mean, that's gotta be more than 30%
What
of the
Dan was
whole.
saying is that you put that 30% aside, you tell me if I'm wrong, you were in that meeting. And if you don't have a larger project that's generally approved, that 30% stays in. That's what I thought he meant.
Carries over.
Carries over from year to year.
How large a project?
I gave you what I was given.
Well, I guess, so does that mean then now we have 70% of the split between the committees and, because it's what, right now, 5% goes to roads, 2% is 40,
10 and 50.
40, 10, 50. 50% goes to the committees, 40 goes to general fund, operating fund, 4% goes, 5% goes to the roads. 10% goes to the roads, okay? So if we do this 30,
Can I make a recommendation? Probably throw this back to the long range because they're in charge of it. See if they even want to consider this.
I mean, one of the things you could do, for example, Eric, I mean, we were sort of talking about it, one of the possibilities is that we're going to need to start replacing docks. Because the docks have a, established life of how long they're gonna last. And it's the sort of thing that you might save up for 2 to 3 years and then look to replace them. And if you have, in this case, 1/3 of the money that we did this year, so you put 30,000 aside, and that's how much it was this year. over 100,000. Right. You put 30,000 aside for 3 years, and you have, and that wouldn't be necessarily a committee allocation. That would be more of, I'm probably not getting picked up on the microphone.
I was just saying,
I'm losing my voice anyway, but, so that was sort of the idea. Now, I'm not, that, for things like that were coming, that rather than the management committee just saying, I mean, as you know, 3 years ago, I went to the Lakes Committee and to several of the committees and asked them to pool together and take $100,000 and some and put it into dredging. And that worked quite well, because it was a good year for funds. But it took, I think it was only 125,000, so it took almost all the money that year, but then we were able to accomplish that for dredging. So that's the idea here, is for some big ticket items, given our current budget constraints, this will maybe something, a way to create another source of funds for that.
The negative is that the committees are gonna say management's trying to tell us what to do. As I understand the code though, the committees would still have to approve it. So if management says we wanna, hold the money for the docks, and the committees say no, I mean, that's the way I would structure it. That's what I'm kind of saying, consider that. Because you will get, I think, some legitimate flack from the committees, because in the past, the committees have had full control of this.
Well, a lot of this also was based on the depreciation list that we have, that we're not going to be able to replace those items going down the road because of the cost.
Right.
So those
items are already out there.
You're saying docks now, but then, what was a pickup truck?
Right, it could just end up back in the budget, so you're taking 30% back and putting it in the budget.
That's the flip side. That's
Right.
The corollary. That's the corollary.
Well, I mean, the way that the work with the dredging, that, seemed to work.
Yeah, I don't think,
Everybody agreed to it.
if it's not broke, why fix it?
I think there was some question about just the amount of money the clubhouse got, but nobody, I was at the meeting, nobody opposed it, he didn't get one question.
But that was kind of the problem, Tom.
I think that is a problem. I think the whole way the meeting needs to be looked at in a different way. What we have now is, we have $100,000 worth of money, and we have $110,000 worth of requests. All they care about at that meeting is to shave that 10,000 out so everybody gets what they want. I think what needs to happen is, maybe it needs to go over more than one meeting, that people have to present their thing and tell us why it's a good project, not just that it'll fit in the budget. That how many people in the hills it affects. If it's the horse barn and it's only affecting 5 members, that's a lot different than if it's at the golf course and it's affecting 100 members.
So the meeting now, they get 3 minutes.
Well, the meeting needs to be changed a little bit.
You get 3 minutes to make your pitch.
I understand that. I've been to those meetings, and I think the whole meeting process needs to be tweaked.
Yeah, it used to be we had 10 or 12 projects.
Right now we have so many more
Now you got
committees.
about 23 projects going, and yeah.
Well, this year there was $141,000. That is more than the entire depreciation budget that you just approved this year. That's 120.
But Scott's entirely right. There's no consideration. It used to be, I could name the committee chairs who would say, well, why are you gonna do that? I mean,
Now it's as long as I can get my stuff for this project, I'll give you your stuff, and it's
It's
too.
completely rational, no question about it. That's the way to do it.
So, Eric, you okay with taking it to long range?
Certainly, I think we should get some feedback from them. Absolutely.
Well, Ken's position is very much what Scott just said, that you need to people need to justify in writing what they want the money for. That needs to be reviewed, and then decisions made on the proposal and the review. And that's what his position is. So he would like to do that. I think it's a good
I've
way
spoken
to
with Ken, I want to get on the committee and get involved in that. Come, start working towards a better system.
be great.
All right, sounds good. Next discussion was reducing the notice requirement for voting. So at this point, it's 90 days, correct? Or is it 60?
Well, it's convoluted.
That's true, yeah.
The secretary's got to give 60 days notice of a meeting, if you call a special meeting. But any proposal to change the code has got to be in front of the board 90 days before the meeting that would be voted on by the membership. The reason that, as I recall, that was put in is because a member can make a motion to change the code. And Bucky Childers was concerned that the member could make that motion to change the code and there wouldn't be enough time to review it. So that's why he wanted the board didn't vote on it, they just vote to whether to put it on the ballot. Or approve the ballot, I should say. That's why the 90 days is there. But, yeah, I've been
Yes, there's two
passing these
pieces to it.
along.
There's the 90 days that you have to read it as the board and decide to go forward with it. And if you're gonna have a special meeting, you need 60 days. So like when we did the special vote for the dam, we had to, because we really were battling with that in terms of time, because we were trying to get the budget, and trying to get all the financing and everything in place. And so that when we went out to the membership, we had a good idea of what we were doing. We were able to define the problem with sufficient information that would make sense.
So what, you trying to reduce the 60 days the secretary has to give, or the 90 days the board?
Well, it's sort of a question of whether you think this is an issue or not. I guess it's sort of, this is a proposal from management, or just a thought piece from them to whether we want to look into making both of them 60, for example. We probably need some time. We don't want to be one meeting and then go to the next. It may make sense if one is 60, just to leave both of them at 60, or change both of them to 60. But we'd have to change the code though, wouldn't we?
Yes, it would be a code change we vote on in August. I can ask Constitution to look at it, see if they think it makes any sense.
So 90 days for a member to propose a rule change. 60 days for the board.
No, it's 90 days regardless of who, for us, it has to be introduced in a board meeting.
Okay.
90 days before the vote.
Okay.
The 60 days, I mean, if we're gonna do it at the annual meeting, we need to vote on it 90 days before the annual meeting, because that's a regular meeting.
Okay.
But if you're gonna call a special meeting, you need 60 days notice. So you still need to do 90 days for to propose it to the board. Then you have to put it in the echo and publicize. You have to notify people 60 days before the actual meeting.
Has there been a problem? Is there a reason, specific reason that we want, that we're talking about changing it?
I think it's just because it's confusing between the 60 and the 90.
I don't think it's caused a problem because when Brenda, and I know that Penny is running out the list out too, they keep the president pretty well advised. You got to have it done by this amount of time, and it's just a matter of getting the stuff done in time. But it's a problem, no, not that I know.
Yeah, the only time it really sort of became an issue, like I said, was when we were trying to get all the information together to do the special increase for the dam. That was the one time where we were sort of running up against it because we were trying to get the bids in to know, because it didn't make any sense to ask people to generate 2.8 million if the thing was going to cost 4 million, because we weren't able to do it. That was the one time where we sort of pushed against us. I guess it's. You're right. Are we looking for a problem that doesn't need to be solved?
That's kind of where I
That's a
was
good question. That's a good point. Any further thoughts, or let's take it back and we can bring this back up again? Did you say you wanted to ask Constitution?
I'll ask Constitution what they think.
Okay, we'll refer that back to them. Now the next one is asking, again, in the code, that right now we have 10 years of an assessment increase that's programmed to the CPIW. And so that at this point goes through 2027 or 2028, we just approved that. But this would be that if we had an emergency situation and we needed to increase money in a short term, or even, I guess even in the long term, that the board would have the ability to approve an increase up to a certain amount without going to the community for a vote.
We'd have to have a vote to approve that into the code,
Right.
change that rule.
Correct, yeah.
Has that been a problem?
Well,
Just
no.
a safeguard?
Give you, I mean, no, I think it was the idea that it would give you more flexibility if something came up.
I don't like it.
I don't either.
No, I don't think.
I don't think it'd pass it.
I wouldn't go for it.
I don't think it'd pass.
Nay.
All right.
Just a little background on that. Rolling Shores, Lake Roman Rock, their board of trustees can approve any assessment increase all by themselves. And that has caused a lot of controversy throughout the last 10 or 15 years at Roman Rock. And so, yeah, I think that this is something that wouldn't work out too well for us. Because they had lawsuits against their board, and simply because they were raising assessment rates with just being approved by themselves, not taking it to the membership. So, there were problems there.
Big lynchings.
Yeah.
This board changes and we're a volunteer board, so.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next one is the permanent inflation adjustment. And we have 10 years right now. It's tied to CPIW. And so the question would be is whether we would want to, I mean, most of us will be off the board. So maybe we need to go to the cavalier about it. Right now, we have, like I said, the 10 years tied to the CPI. And this would be just to eliminate the need to go and get it renewed on an ongoing basis.
Well, the problem with what we have now is it's not enough.
Well, I know, but we'd still have to tie it to something.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, you still have to have some basis of how you're gonna increase the assessment.
I know there's other lake communities that haven't gotten a rate increase, assessment increase in 10 years. I don't even know how they operate.
Well, I mean, we had a couple of years when the CPI didn't go up and,
I know. Well, and look at us, we have had an increase other than that 1 or 2 years every year, and we're still having problems paying for everything. So, as far as a permanent inflation adjustment, yeah, you have to tie it to something. I don't know what you would have to tie it to.
Well, you could say it's a minimum of 2% unless the CPIW is higher. And then cap it to.
Well, I think we have a cap of 5.
But this way you get the minimum 2, because in those 2 years that we got almost nothing, at least you get 2%.
That might be a thought there.
How much is 2%?
Of $160, $3.20 a month, or $170, $3.40 a month.
You're the treasurer, you should.
Thank you for coming.
That was enough.
Definitely 3.7. Definitely.
All right.
So 2% of the total assessment, we have a 2% of the total assessment. Come on, Jim, you should know that right off your top.
That's what I was talking about.
The assessment, do you know how many?
Under 2,000, it would be $40 a year.
Yep, all
I
right.
mean, total members.
Per member.
40 times 800.
Well,
So that would be
this year, 2.3% was 35.6.
Yeah, so $30,000.
That was pretty good chunk.
Yeah, but it'll.
Goes all into salaries, but
Yeah.
3% increase.
Not that much.
Well, our increase in the budget was 2%.
Budget, yeah.
So we cover the increase in the budget.
That's exactly what it did.
I think you could pass a minimum, a range, a minimum 2%, maximum 5%.
Well, that's a different thing than what's
Well,
on
I-
here, but yeah, we're.
I'm just passing on what Donovan sent me. In some cases, I'm not in agreement, but I don't know, I can ask Constitution to write it up to 2 to 5 and for review next year.
One thing I can minimum, go to CBIW, that we're gonna put a floor of 2 and a ceiling of 5.
Only problem you have, I think, with that is if people think they're paying that, it increase every year, then when you need more and you come to them, they say, well, we voted to give you the 2 to 5 or whatever this deal is. And I'm just playing devil's advocate here, but people that don't wanna pay stuff, they use everything as an excuse.
That's a good point.
And if we can't make the sale, we can't make the sale.
I think we can make the sale on an assessment increase if we
Right.
sell it right. I don't think it was sold right last time, and we still almost passed it.
But
All
to
the
do
people
both,
that
What?
but to do them both, the assessment increase and this?
Wasn't the last assessment increase, we were not going to do the CPI increase?
We're just gonna do it for, in January.
Right,
it was gonna be subsumed. So the increases we had this year, we just said.
it was just gonna
We're gonna
absorb
go-
that year's.
We're gonna go to 180, so the three
Right.
that we went up per month would have been part of that.
And we weren't gonna double dip.
Right.
Yeah, I would think if you're gonna put an assessment increase on the ballot, you would stay away from saying anything about any more other assessment increase. Get that one through first, then next year go back and say, hey, if we need this.
But the assessment increase ought to be on the ballot, I would assume it's gonna be on the, are we try to do it sooner than the annual meeting or not?
I don't know.
I don't know.
We haven't given it a lot of thought.
All right, well,
Sounds like an annual meeting.
We need 90 days.
Let's go back and change that 96.
All right, so this one can get tabled.
We'll change it to 30.
I think that one is problematic, yeah, given that we're gonna go out and look for a bigger increase this year. Let's not mix. And again, this is similar tied to it. Right now, we have a road assessment that's been $200 since 2011 or 2010.
2011.
And went from 150 to 2 at that point.
Yeah.
By our clocks. Right.
I've only paid the 200, I didn't know, so. It was before that.
Yeah, it was in 2010.
I got here in 2010, it's always been 200.
It's been 200.
So in this case, are we on that? We're on the road assessment. Yeah, it sounds like we need to come up, what it's gonna cost us to fix our roads and then tie it to the CPI, just like everything else. Gravel goes up, labor goes up.
There's one thing nobody's gonna complain about, is the roads, everybody knows the, I mean, that's, in the last discussion, everybody was all for the road increase. So I think if this is a clear way to go.
Does management have a number of what we think that would be, up from 200 to?
No.
Okay.
That's probably something we need to look at as we're going forward with this next piece.
Yeah.
Because if we're gonna go for an assessment increase, if we're gonna go with also a road increase, we need to separate those out and come up with.
And that's what people I've talked to said they'd rather see it separated, so they know what's going, for what.
Good point.
Well, we can do that because we ran the numbers on it the last time, and that was a significant part of the assessment.
Oh, it was, just using obviously, they did a good job with chip and seal this year. We started on, are you happy with the ditches, the program that you did?
Always, well, we're not near done with them.
Well, I know.
What we did, we're happy with how they came out.
Basically, all we did was get the test part done.
Right.
Yeah, I know, this was the wettest year in history.
Well, it's,
And it's 50% more than a normal year.
Did it hold up?
Yeah,
seems to be.
yeah, absolutely. Of course, we don't know what kind of precipitation we're gonna have in the years to come, but,
Well, let's hope-
what we did this year, that's held up pretty well.
Yeah, you sort of hit a high water
Let's
mark.
hope we don't keep breaking records, because last year was a record.
Yeah.
On the last day of the year, we broke the all-time record for
And
precipitation.
it was 50% higher than a normal year. I mean, that was the other piece, not only, because sometimes if you have small, it really doesn't mean anything, but when you're,
This was significant.
You might want to think about an ARC assessment.
I hear there's an arc on Eagle Claw.
Hey, you know what we could do with that? Put an anchor down there and use it as the new guard shack. Until we float.
All right, so this one's going back to management.
yeah.
I'll comment on the next one, because I asked Dan, what's this all about on this one? And it turned out, it didn't come from Dan, this came from a member. And I forget who the member was, but what he's suggesting is that in the spring, people aren't worried about going out in the lake if it's a nice day. They give it up.
That's so silly.
Well, that's what the idea is.
The You think the spring is better than the summer afternoon, or you don't think it matters?
I think it's another thing, why are we changing it? Because somebody wants to go out on a lake. If they want to go on a lake, I don't want them at the meeting anyway, you know? It's important. If you can't get off the lake one day on the whole summer to come to the meeting, come on.
If two people I know weren't out on the lake who would have voted yes for the assessment, we'd have had it.
What about the two people that were on the lake that would have voted no?
You win. All right.
Six of one, half dozen of another.
Scott's not interested in this one. I'm not running your meeting. Anybody else want to consider this one or not?
I wondered about that one.
All right, that one's dead.
Okay. All right, this is an interesting one. We talked about it a couple of times. Dennis brought it up, I know, as well. But okay, right now we do allow people to vote by mail, but we don't do any email or electronic voting. Do we want to try that to be able to get more people to vote?
Well, if the Russians get
I'd say no.
No, I mean,
I'm not talking about the Russians. My opinion is no. I mean, you're not gonna, I don't think you're gonna change the vote by making it easier to vote. You're gonna have just as many people easier to vote no than you have easier to vote yes. I guess there were some problems with people,
Absentee
ballots, they mailed them in, or then they came to the meeting and they were mailed, or they didn't receive them, or something like that.
3 years in a row.
If we don't do email or online, I don't have an issue, but we do need to, put some sort of a tracking process in place on those absentee ballots. Because there's a lot of people, I've talked to numerous people, that put in for absentee ballots, and then they've got them sitting on their dresser at home and they decide they can come to the meeting. And they show up, and if they left those absentee ballots at home, they're not on, they can't get a ballot.
Right. That's what it should be.
And exactly, so that you're not voting twice. But I think and I guess this has been brought up before, and people are afraid, somebody out there is afraid, the conspiracy theorists, that we're gonna track how they voted. But I think that we should be able to come up with a way to mark the absentee ballots, just number them, and then be able to take them off the list, when we get them back. So if that person comes in to vote at the meeting and said, I got absentee ballots, but I wanted to come vote, we can cross-check the list and.
Can't they just read the directions?
That'd be too easy.
I mean, I vote all the time, absentee, and it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
What's to prohibit me from getting an absentee ballot and just making copies of it and keep sending envelopes into the office?
Well,
Are they numbered or something?
That would be some.
they're not numbered, but we do have a way to prevent that.
Okay,
Yeah, we do have.
we don't have to go into that now, but that's
How
why,
long have you been here?
since 1994.
I understand that they used to number the ballots.
I don't remember that. I always remember the ballots being the kind of the way they are now. They could have been numbered,
Well, Brenda said that at one point they were.
but I don't think they had absentee ballots back then.
Yeah, well, that was the reason for numbering, was because of the absentee ballots.
I thought that was something that came along since I've been here, that was a deal that they came up with, doing absentee ballots. That we didn't used to have. If you didn't show up, you didn't get to vote.
Yeah, all I know is that they had either considered or did number the ballots so that we could track them for the people that either didn't get them in the mail or left them on their desk or something like that, and to allow them to vote. Now, in the last few years, we've had several that didn't receive their absentee ballot, even though we keep real strict records of what we've sent out.
Right.
And I know there's several people that didn't get them. But we can't control the mail. But the fact that if we did number them, then we could allow them folks to vote.
You numbered them, you could have a provisional ballot. You could
Exactly.
just check it against the database.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
right, so as the person who counts all this stuff, I don't wanna have to, having 30, 40, 50, 100 of these votes and then having to cross-reference them with some list.
Yeah.
I'd like to come up with a better, I hear what you're saying. And I think, and I've heard the same issues that some people are just like, man, I wanted to come here and vote, I wasn't sure, like, I'd bring my ballots in and place them here.
Well, they can do that.
But, I don't think you can. If you bring your,
Yeah, you can bring your absentee ballot in, just put it in
The
the ballot
problem
box.
is if you lost them or if the post office didn't show up, if the postal service didn't deliver them, period, that's an issue.
That's what they.
But to your point, there should be, if the vote is still on a Sunday, we got Friday's mail's the cutoff, and we update the list that they work off of upstairs when you walk in and ask for your ballot. I don't think we'd have to do provisionally.
But we've talked about this the last few years and decided not to change it. I mean, management has talked about it, decided not to change it. Because it was only a few people that didn't get their ballots. And it was no wrongdoing by the office, but we kept records on the ones we sent out. It was just the fact that, unfortunately, pretty much Sugar Grove mail is not being delivered very well.
Yeah, I think it's another one of these things that, there's not really a good solution to it. I'm against email voting, and I was against absentee ballots when I believe that was passed while I've been here, and I was against that when they did. You can't be bothered to come to the meeting, I don't care if you vote. I like to see people show up at the meeting.
We want FaceTime. Not Facebook FaceTime.
now let me put some more thought into how we might be able to do that, just with maybe even Ginger might have some insight as well. Because I think we do have, I had a lot of people, if you're up there manning the booth when everybody's coming in and, we gotta come up with, I think there's some better things that we can do there. And you guys could say this, well, it's only one or two people, or maybe it's only 10 people, but if you're one of those people, you're.
Yeah, every vote
Yeah,
counts.
exactly.
So,
John Jones had a process
Right.
too, the double envelope process like you do with your county. So if you want to talk, you might have.
okay.
And I've got the procedure that Apple Valley uses too. I can send that to you.
Oh, that'd be
Take a
great.
look at that, yeah. But we at one of our OLCA meetings, we had a voting, session, and Jeff Farmer from Apple Valley presented the way they do it, so I have that information that I can send to you. Yeah.
Great, thank you, Ray.
All right, the last one. Let's just refer that to ACC unless we want to discuss it here again. This isn't light coal, light pollution. Right now we have a fairly simple rule in terms of what the light is or isn't, but I don't think it's a bad idea to ask them to take a look at that again.
Especially with having a light connoisseur
That's true.
on ACC.
That's true, we did. Indeed, we did, according to Fink.
Good.
All right. Here we go. Let's go on to new members.
Oh, no, you gotta cover old business topics when I look this up.
Okay. Does anybody have any old business topics they'd like to bring up at this time?
Somebody please, so Eric has time.
Okay, now we're ready.
All right. Seeing that there are no old business topics, could we have any new members listed?
Actually, we do. I'd like to make a motion to approve the following new members. Jeremy Wagner, lots 218 and 2116. Mitchell and Dana Acock, lots 1056, 1057, and 1058. Clear Visionary LLC / Monica Wharton, they bought the dry dock. Angela and Scott Turner, lots 1764, 1765, and 1766. Michael and Don Glazer, lot 819, and Alexandra Ramos, lot 1947.
Second from Dennis. First, or motion made by Eric, second by Dennis. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Good deal. That's, again, there's 6 people for December.
So probably shop this year.
Yeah, we're already,
And the person who bought the dry dock bought land also in Hideaway Hills.
no, the dry dock is Highway Hills property.
Oh,
It's a farmland.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and actually, the point is sort of an interesting one is with the farmettes, or any of them, we have right of first refusal.
Right, I knew
So if there
that.
was something, but so, yeah, no, it's actually listed as the Hideaway Hills lot, 'cause
Oh,
the deed is in Hideaway Hills.
They just have different rules than we do.
That's correct.
Deed restrictions.
You can have,
Still, they pay the fees and.
oh yeah, new member and then.
They can fly drones.
500 over the other side.
They can have bars there,
They
they have
can,
businesses.
they can do
basically.
businesses and advertise and everything else, so that's the,
Right, great, I didn't know.
the farmettes, the outlots, whatever they're called. And the guy who's, what is he gonna do at the dry dock? Does anybody know what the business is? I've heard different things.
I've not pinned down that exactly, but it's a construction type business, maybe building cabinets, but it's nothing that would affect Hideaway Hills. Just with what I can find, nobody's really being super open about it.
All right, I think we've concluded our normal business. We have an executive session ahead. Can I have a motion?
Well, no, additional business, I want to bring something.
Okay, please.
One of the things I pick up on this past year is a lot of committees raise their own funds and then they also have some Christmas parties and they do some things, some nice things for themselves. There are two committees that I was thinking of that do not raise any funds but do a tremendous amount of work for us around here. That would be ACC and management. And I was wanting to throw it out there that because of the amount of work and so forth that they do, could we get a buying dinner once a year? Can we have them, I mean, just in appreciation for all the work that they do?
The answer is yes. We actually have the subsidies that we take from the transfer, which is sort of an allocation for us to use for communications and recognition and special things. And so, I mean, if that is the wish, there's no reason we can't do it.
Okay.
If that is the wish of the board to have an event for them, then I think that's one question.
Well, I just think they do an awful lot of work and they don't raise any of their own funds and don't really have the means to do such. So I would like to make a motion that in December of every year, we purchase dinner at the lodge for each member of ACC and their significant other.
And management committee as well?
We'll do
I'm sorry, did I say management? Yes, management,
ACC.
both, and management, yeah.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Yeah, second then. Any discussion about that at all? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Good idea.
Great,
I agree.
thank you.
I agree.
You know, you could have just bought dinner yourself, Eric.
All right.
Just saying, yeah.
Anything further under unfinished business? All right, may I have a motion to adjourn to executive session?
So moved.
Scott, second Dwayne. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
At 8:40.
40 it is. All right.
Here,
Do you need to bring
clarification. Dinner and drinks, dinner. Yeah, I hate to be a nitpicker, but
I just said dinner. I wasn't thinking about dinner and drinks.
well,
That way then you gotta-
you could have somebody go crazy on you, that's the thing. And, you know, and there's a $10 shot bottle of scotch up there.
Why don't you do it as a,
Yes, sir.
per couple, a $50 gift card?
I would, yeah, I think
Okay, so,
that's a,
Yeah, that way you're gonna,
You got a
keep
cap.
your, yes.
okay, I'm fine with
Now,
that.
it'd be nice if we all did it if one night, you know, we met up.
yeah, right.
Did it, but that way you're controlling.
That's a real good idea.
That doesn't change the motion, it's just the way we're gonna implement it.
Okay, sounds good.
That works
You
out.
don't, you don't need me to.
Or you could do an up to 5 point, then you don't have to get cards out.
You want my spot?
Huh?
You come over here and take my spot.
That's all right.
All right.
get any warmer.
No.
I'm sorry, I need to turn off everything.
Yeah. I think going down your driveway.
No, you got me off the.
I'll sit down and give you a push.
That's about all the way, yeah. As long as Aspen's out of my driveway. As I came up there, broken my, they were literally, on a moving truck, they were doing the spinning